Sportsbooks make a killing on idiots.
Casino trip, full of chips. Wanna flip, double it.
Welcome to the Full of Chips podcast, the only chips you'll never lose, where the stakes are high, the takes are bold, and the conversations are always full of chips. With your hosts, Chris, the Dice Degen, and Craig from Old Bay Craps. You're tuned in to Full of Chips, the podcast where we dive into our own experiences into the world of gambling and share stories straight from the casino floor. Whether you're a recreational gambler, a seasoned pro, or just curious what the buzz is all about, you're in the right place. Each week, we break down the games, talk to the experts, and bring you tips that could tilt the odds in your favor. So grab your lucky charm, stack your chips, and let's roll into today's episode.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of the Full of Chips podcast, the only chips you'll never lose, with your host, Chris the Dice Degen, and my co-host, Craig from Old Bay Craps. Craig, we got a special episode today. First, I want to ask you, how are you doing tonight?
You know, this is going to drop New Year's week, but it's Christmas week. In fact, we're recording this on the 23rd, and it's episode 23. What? How do we do this? I don't know how we do this, but it's magical, I guess. So has this ride been with this podcast. So I'm doing well. I'm feeling cheery. I'm ready to go. Got one more day of work before Christmas, and probably let people off early. How are you doing?
There you go. I'm great. Hopefully everyone at home is doing great as well. This will be dropping right before New Year's, so obviously our podcast started a little bit later in the year, but it's been a great 2025. Really have been enjoying the podcast. Craig and I have been having a grand old time with it, but we at Full of Chips want to wish you all the happiest and healthiest of New Year's. Hope your dreams and your resolutions came true this year, and start off strong next year. Did you make any resolutions this past year, Craig, that you stuck to all year?
No, I stopped doing that about 10 years ago.
There you go. There you go. Well, I, for one, did stick to my resolution, and I am extremely proud of myself because my resolution last year was to cut out energy drinks and pre-workout. Let me tell you something. It sucked for the first 2 weeks. Miserable for the first 2 weeks. But I have not had an energy drink or a scoop of pre-workout in the year of 2025, and I will continue in 2026 because energy drinks are the devil. I'm kidding. They're not. They're great. But
they're the devil for people
out.
like me who have heart conditions. So
There you go.
You got the high blood pressure.
That's
you
true.
Can't have those kind of drinks.
Yeah. I didn't cut out coffee, that's for sure. I drink a shit ton of coffee, but that's beside the point. But yeah, episode 23. We're gonna be talking about sports today. If you can't notice our attire, obviously, if you're listening and not looking at the video, we're wearing football jerseys. We'll get into that in a little bit. But Craig, you said we're recording this on the 23rd. I was just thinking, how fitting to do a sports episode in episode 23, Michael Jordan. Wow. Greatness.
Right?
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, Craig, as we always do, what are you drinking tonight?
This is a special one because it's the last one of the year, technically. It's going to be dropping before New Year's. So, and you're probably going to throw this up on the screen after I say this, but I wanted to commemorate our friendships with Casino Tears, and this is Bullet Bourbon, which we know is Ed Roldawin's favorite bourbon. I got this because normally it's $54 a bottle, but I got it for $29 as part of a gift set. Okay, so
Nice.
this is good stuff. So I've got this with a new, because it came with a plastic container for making cubed ice. 1 cube. It fills the whole glass there. And it's got a little bit of Coke with it too. So,
Nice. Yeah. As you were mentioning, Casino Tiers will be the last time you get your 15% off on your order at CasinoTiers.Vegas. So make sure you go over to CasinoTiers.Vegas, get some dice, get some merch, get whatever you want. 15% off, code FullofChips15. That's how you get it. If you didn't get that person that Christmas gift that they wanted, I'm sure they want dice. So, or like a t-shirt or something. So go over there, get your stuff. Right. Craig, funny enough, you're drinking Bullet tonight. I am also drinking Bullet tonight. Um, but instead of Coke, I have Diet Coke in mine, and I got it in my Eagles cup because sports. But I've been enjoying my Bullet recently, and yeah, nice bourbon, a little bit of Diet Coke in there, and we are ready to talk some
We're
sports,
ready.
aren't we?
Well, you can't talk sports without betting, right? So, but we've all had that curse of the almost won ticket, which is why we aptly titled the episode that. We've all had that ticket that's hit 9 out of 10 legs, 23 out of 24 legs, and what does always happen? The end of the game. Game management changes, and you get screwed. I think we've all been there. And believe me, hey, this is what I'm doing because I can't get to the casino often, and I can't get to multipliers and trips often enough. So I got to fill my time with something in between. Why not do it with some sports betting because I can do it at a lower amount? So
Yeah,
I'm enjoying this little ride. And as we talked with Lou, and as we reiterated last week, stack those small wins.
yes,
Stack the
sir.
small
You
wins.
know it. Yeah, sports betting honestly is a great way to build a bankroll and to maybe scratch that itch, I guess, if people have that itch and they can't get to the actual casino. But you gotta be careful with it, obviously, right? Because it's so easy to do, so easy to deposit on those books. They make it so simple. It's unbelievable. But if you do a little bit of research and you know what you're doing, you can definitely be profitable at it. And if you want to be profitable, you should stay away from those, ridiculous 10, 24 leg parlays. Because yeah, they're great when they hit, but how many of them are you going to lose before you hit one?
A lot.
But the stacking the small wins is good, growing that bankroll, and then you progress through, right? You start betting with certain dollar amounts for your units, steady, they grow, they grow. Next thing you know, you're betting decent amount on games, and who knows, hopefully making some money.
Well, I think what we're learning is that it's the same thing with whether it's craps, whether it's we've talked about it with Bruce and the Blackjack Brief. We've talked about taking your bets and playing smart. So a smart play would be like a 2 or 3 leg parlay, maybe even a 4 leg parlay, not a 24 leg parlay or something ridiculous, but something small that eventually you're going to stack over time, stack your wins. And now what's changing? Just your bet progression. So now you can do the same kinds of bets, 3, 4, 2 leg parlays, but now instead of doing them for $5 each, you're doing them for $25 each. And if you keep stacking your wins and you keep winning, then you get all the way up to where you can do $100 bets. But you're not going from $5 3 leg parlays to $100 24 leg parlays. You're
Yeah,
doing the same thing, just different betting amounts. And I think that's
yeah,
important.
yeah. No, it definitely is. Um, like you said, 2, 3, 4 leg parlays. Straight bets are going to be your best friends if you're trying to grow a bankroll. Yes, the parlays are nice. But the parlays Craig was talking about too, they're not like, 2 leg, plus 17,000 parlays. All right. They're like 2 leg even money type parlays. Um, or 3 legs close to even money type parlays, maybe plus a little bit. But yeah, you want to stick to those kind of bets because those ridiculous long shots are great in theory, but they're hard to hit. And, that's not a way to grow your bankroll because once you start hitting those, everybody can tell you. Once you hit one of those, you get greedy as a mother and you start placing them like you can't lose those bets. Then you go down the rabbit hole. Next thing you know, you lost everything you won on the first one, plus, a bunch more. So yeah, stick to the straight bets, stick to the, smaller parlays, 2, 3, 4 leggers, whatever it may be. But those are going to be your friends if you're trying to grow a bankroll and stay away from the 10 and the 20 leg parlays. And you know what you should also stay away from, Craig?
I know a lot of things I should stay away from.
Yeah, there probably are. This is not, we're not going to go into all the things you should stay away from. Drugs, all that, whatever. No, you should stay away from betting on your own team, shouldn't you?
Look at the jerseys. Look at the jerseys. It's all right there.
Yep.
Why rooting for your team is the fastest way to torch your bankroll.
Yeah,
The main
it's
problem,
tough.
your heart is a terrible handicapper. You when you bet on your favorite team, it's not analysis, it's called hope. And hope is beautiful in life, but it kills your bankroll management.
Mm-hmm.
Your emotional attachment to your team blinds you to injuries, bad matchups, coaching issues, and quite frankly, reality.
Yep. That's a fact. That's a fact. I know you got your Ravens jersey on. I got my Eagles jersey on. Um, and before somebody tells me I don't have an Eagles jersey on, I mean, I know you see the Eagle, but it's the Brian Dawkins salute to service jersey is what I have
One of my
on.
favorite Eagles players of all time.
He's a legend. I love him.
I will tell you, he's
Yeah.
right behind. He's right behind Donovan McNabb. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I would say Dawkins is up here compared to McNabb. McNabb is like in the toilet for me, but that's beside the point. First of all, I will say for folks at home, because people know I do a lot of sports betting. I rarely bet on the Eagles, or against them. I don't do it. I'm going to get into the reasons why in a little bit, but most of the purpose you don't want to bet on your own team is because you're going to factor your own emotions into it, and that's going to cloud your actual judgment, right? So like you're going to watch your team, right? You're like, oh, they're so good at this. You're going to overestimate the strengths they have, right? You might downplay an injury that somebody else has or your own team has or a matchup, right? Or maybe they're not in good form, right? The Eagles this year have been up and down with their offense, right? But you're sitting there, you're like, oh, they're playing against a team who has a terrible defense. They're going to play great. No, it's not. It's not how this works, right? You got to look at numbers. You got to look at objective facts, not that you think your team's going to win, right? Sportsbook don't give a shit what you think. If they did, they'd ask you. They don't ask you, right? Why? Because they don't care what you think. If you want to bet that way, it's a good way to really torch a bankroll. Because if you bet on what you just feel, good luck. Good luck
There's
is
a
all I can say.
reason. There's a reason they have the phrase "any given Sunday."
Yeah.
It didn't just come out of nowhere. It came out that you can be all prepared, have all your research, and sometimes it's just not that team's day. And oftentimes it's your team that's getting torched on that particular day. Take it from us with a FOC toolkit tip. Create a no-fly zone list for the teams that you're emotionally attached to. Chris and I are wearing our own home teams that we root for day in, day out, all day, 24/7. So, this list should include your team. It should include your rival. It should include the team that ruined your parlay in 2024, the team that your ex roots for. And if your blood pressure spikes when you see the logo, don't bet that game.
It's true. It's true. It's funny. Most sports bettors that you talk to, and me included, had a shit list of things that I will not bet on because it's cost me way too many times. So I literally have a list of things or teams that I will not bet on. I don't care. I mean, it could be, the Eagles. The Eagles aren't on my shit list, but it could be the Eagles playing against a Pee Wee team, and I will not bet the Eagles because they're on my shit list. Now the Eagles aren't on my shit list, but my shit list is growing. It grows by the week. But it's okay. It's okay. You take those losses, you run with it, and you move on. But the other reason why you want to bet, with your heart on your teams and stuff, when they lose, you basically lose twice because you
Right.
lose the money, right, that you bet, and then you also lose the emotional battle of that where your team actually lost. So it usually makes watching the game worse. It makes the loss hurt kind of more. Um, and then the other thing too is it makes you like an unenjoyable watcher, right? Like there's nothing worse than watching a game with somebody who bet on something and like they can't control their emotions and they're just sitting there and like every play matters. I'm like, it's like, for example, right? They're one of my friends. He doesn't bet often. He bets sometimes. He bet on like Eagles receiver props one week and he's over my house watching the game and he's freaking out. I'm like, dude, the Eagles defense is on the field. Why are you freaking out about your Eagles offensive stats right now? The Eagles defense is on the field. Relax. AJ Brown's not catching a ball. He's on the sideline. If he catches the ball, it doesn't count anyway. Like, relax. Relax. But you have to be able to control those emotions. Because then you start sweating the plays, you start getting angry at people, and especially if you're watching with like a group, it's a terrible experience when somebody is so involved in their parlay or their straight bet that they have that they just ruin the entire experience for everybody else.
Well, you're sitting there, and if you've made bets on your team, now you're watching the game differently than you would have if you hadn't bet on your team.
Yep.
So, you're sitting there and you're like, you need Derrick Henry to get a touchdown, and the backups have gotten both touchdowns. Remember we talked about that Seattle Arizona game earlier in the season where the first two touchdowns, everybody probably had bets on Djibba. Is that how you say his name? They
Jack
call him
Smith and Jigba, yeah.
yeah,
JSN.
they go by his initials, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the first two people to score were someone who was catching his first NFL catch ever and a rookie. Those were the first two touchdowns. So you can't do that because it's gonna, like Chris said, and it was a great point, which is you get crossed twice if your team loses because you lost the bet because it didn't happen and your team lost. But the thing is, you can't sit there and root for your team because you're going to get angry if you're rooting for your team and then somebody gets a pass caught for a touchdown and it wasn't the receiver you picked for your bet. Um, you know, I think also a lot of this comes with a lot of biases, right? There's optimism bias, which is, we can win this one. How many people have gone through an NFL schedule when it drops day one and they're like, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. Maybe we can win that one. That's a win, that's a win. And your team winds up, 4-12. I mean, it sucks, but people do it all the time. Um, you only remember the times that your team won. You don't remember the 12 times that they lost, which you probably lost again. Like Chris said, you lost your bet and your team lost that day, which sucks. Or maybe your team got eliminated from the playoffs, which my team is about to give it one more game. And then they'll they'll be sitting on the couch watching the playoffs. Um, and
Cancun
then there's
early? Gonna
the
go hit some golf courses?
Probably. They've already contacted Cabo Wabo, and
Yeah.
they're like, let's make our plans for the two families. And then there's always their due fallacy. I've been a
Uh,
fan for 20 years. I deserve a win. Trust us. Sports books don't give a shit. Okay,
nope.
they just don't. I mean, why do sports books even love fans? They love fans because fans overbet. They overbet their teams, which inflates lines.
Yep.
Sports books, they provide shady odds, knowing you'll take your team no matter what. It happens a lot. And they love it. It's the same thing when you go to the casino and you don't have a plan for the craps table, you don't have a plan for blackjack, and you're just like on a whim. Maybe I'll just see how this 500 goes. And 45 minutes later, you're out the door because you just dropped 500 for no reason. Um,
That's fact.
I don't know what to tell you. It happens.
Don't bet on your team. That's what to tell you.
That's the
And
message.
like I'm
Don't bet on your team.
literally like and take it from somebody who has done it and it's just not fun. Like you all think everybody thinks on the positive side, right? Where they win and you win your bet. It's great. Yeah, sure. It's great and wonderful, right? So you take a straight bet on your team and they're favored by 3.5 points. Well, they win on a last second field goal and they win by 2. Well, you lost your bet, but your team won. So you're happy that they won, but you're mad because they didn't cover the spread. And you're sitting here and it's just like, it's not enjoyable. And the losses hurt twice. Let me tell you, it hurts way more when you bet on them and they look like shit. And it's going to happen because you're going to sit there and you're going to overanalyze. The other thing, too, sometimes sports books do, not with all teams, but with a lot of teams, like popular teams and stuff, the lines are inflated as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you ask a sports book, oh, no, this is what the no, it's not. Right? They're jacking up some team, because of primetime game or whatever it may be. Sports books, they do what they want, right? We're going to get into how they make odds in a minute. But you may be paying a quote unquote tax on some of these teams because they're, America's team, for example. Like Cowboys always get favored, right? I'm not saying they're always a favorite in the game, but like their lines are always sus. There's nothing normal about their lines all the time. Why? Because they're America's team. They know people are going to bet them, right? Same thing with the Chiefs this year. Okay. And the Chiefs the past few years, Chiefs have been really, really good, right? Take a look at how many times they've covered a spread winning those games. It's not that many times. They were squeaking out wins, right? Sports books know you're going to bet that. Oh, yeah, they're playing against a shitty team this week, but we're spotting them 2 touchdowns. Yeah, next thing you know, fourth quarter, 30 seconds left. backdoor cover for the underdog, and oops, you didn't cover the spread. Yeah, your team won, but you didn't cover. The line was a little inflated. Why? Because they knew people were going to bet it, right? The sports books make a killing on idiots. That's how they do it.
Look, I think that you have to live by a rule, okay? And that rule is if you can't bet against your team, you shouldn't bet on your team.
That's a
Simple
good
as that.
rule. I like that rule. I always say, right?
I had to learn that rule in fantasy football. And
Mm-hmm.
for years I was like, I was always picking our quarterback, because I knew our quarterback. No, you didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't know that, you know him because of when he won. You didn't think about when he plays tough defenses and how he does. And
Yeah.
then this is one thing that probably another tip for everybody is people always take the over and not enough times do they take the under. You think people are so great no matter what game you're looking at, but you have to realize who you're playing. Like
Yep.
last night would have been a perfect thing. Like I'm sure there was an under bet for Philip Rivers. I texted Chris. I knew we were going to see the old Philip Rivers and it happened at the end of the game when he threw the pick. And I was like, that's the Philip Rivers I remember.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, unders can be good. I have a motto that life's too short to bet unders because I've been screwed way too many times betting an under. But if you want to bet unders, people go for it. There's a lot of times where I'll leave money out there because I don't like betting on unders. Now, I always say I bet numbers, not teams, right? Because I have my
Right.
models, they spit out numbers and stuff. If you want to be really good at like sports betting, that's how you have to bet. And I'm not saying that I'm great at it. I'm good, but I'm not gonna say I'm great because then somebody's gonna tell me, well, you're not the best. Yeah, no shit. Um, but you got to be able to not even look at teams. Like, if I could in my models just take out the team logos, I would, right? I mean, I could theoretically, but then there's nothing to relate it to, so I can't. But um, you just got to look at numbers, right? You got to remove the team away. I can't tell you how many times I've bet the Eagles not to cover a spread. I won't bet the other teams to win against the Eagles because I don't want that to happen. I'm betting a number, right? Not betting the team. I don't care who they're playing. I really don't. It doesn't matter. Why? Because, like Craig said, any given Sunday, any team can win, right? Any given Sunday, any team can win. So just do yourself a favor. If you want to be a sports bettor who's enjoying watching their team play, go bet on your team.
So this leads us into inside the sports book. So how odds are really made. I didn't really know much about this until I looked into it, but it's not most casual bettors are probably imagining a smoky back room with a crusty Vegas odds maker scribbling lines on a chalkboard. That's not how it works. Today's odds are built by a hybrid of data scientists, algorithms, and market behavior with human traders stepping in for tricky calls. The starting line is the true odds. We've all seen this. You go into your sports book, whichever one you choose, doesn't matter. Sports books, begin by estimating the actual probability of each outcome, the true odds. This comes from historical databases, massive historical databases, predictive analysis, and simulations, player performance models, and then they also look at injuries. Why do you think there's an injury report, Chris, that comes out every what is it, Tuesday? Every Tuesday
Yeah,
the injury report comes out.
very
Tell me
important.
tell me when you're looking at if you're looking at never make a bet on a game prior to the injury report coming out. Because you make a bet and the line's here on Sunday, the report comes out on Tuesday, the game's played on Thursday, and the line's completely changed by the time you've already bet. Your
Yep.
bet's locked in. So you're not even paying attention. Plus they take into consideration the weather. Weather does have
Mm-hmm.
an effect on a team, the way they play. I think we saw this when what was it? Went to who did they play a cold weather team
Buffalo.
recently? Buffalo. And they got their asses whooped and you found out that Tua probably shouldn't play quarterback ever again for Miami.
Yeah. Or Pittsburgh might have been the game too because they got whopped against both teams, but don't matter.
Yeah, they did.
Um, Yeah, no, you're spot on with that, right? Like the sports books, it's not just some like number they throw at a dartboard and they're like, "Oh, this is the spread." No, it's very scientific, very data focused, where they come up with the lines, and then the lines move. right? They're not static. They don't stay where they are. They're moving based on the bets. And you made a good point too with, going to different books where you want to bet. It's also good to go to different books to look at what the lines are because lines are different sometimes across books, right? You can find better value by going to a different book to see what it is. Why? Because the lines move based on the amount of money bet on the game, right? So, like, for example, and this is not a great example, but let's just say, somebody bets on like a book like FanDuel. Say they bet, I don't know, $50 million combined on a game, right? All on one side. Well, that's going to move the line on FanDuel. It's not going to move it on Caesars. Caesars don't give a shit. Why? Because FanDuel has to cover themselves with having money on both sides of the game and having value on both sides of the game where they win regardless, right? That's how sportsbooks stay in business. Like you said, right? Initial line comes out, usually based off of, the data, power ratings, things like that. They do factor in the injuries. They factor in like different metrics, strength of schedule, location of the game. So weather, home field versus away, all that kind of stuff, right? But the main thing with the opening line that comes out, it's basically a test, right? They're trying to see action coming in on both sides, and then they adjust the line there, right? So, like, if they open up a line and it's just, let's say they open up a team at, -1.5, right? And they just see a flood of money coming in on that team. Well, they're going to move the line. Why? Because there's so much money coming in. As I just said, they got to balance out the amount of money that they have. So we'll see that. The other thing, too, is the casinos know who their sharp bettors are and who the public's betting, right? The public bets influence lines occasionally. The sharps are who are influencing lines, right? Why? Because they're the ones who are looking for opportunities where they see something where the book may be lacking in an area, or they're over adjusting for public money coming in or whatever it may be. It's a huge like tug of war, basically, right? That's how I always like to explain the sports lines to people. It's a tug of war. Why? Casinos in the middle, right? They're winning either way, but they gotta move the line so they stay in the middle, right? That's why lines move. The other thing is all sports bets have a VIGs associated with them, right? Especially spreads. I'm going to talk mainly about spreads. There's a VIG associated with the spread, right? Same thing with buying a forward 10 on the craps table. -110 is not true odds, right? It's not. Why? Because if, a team's -1.5, the other team's +1.5, even money on that would be true odds. Why? Because if you bet the one team, you're getting even money. You bet the other team, you're getting even money. Sports books would never make money that way. That's why you see -110, -110. So then sports books are making money either way. Doesn't matter. If Craig bets $100 on, the team at -1.5, I bet the team $100 at +1.5. Guess what? Guess who's making money regardless of what the outcome is? The casino. Craig will win the bet or I'll win the bet. One of us is making money. Casino is guaranteed to make money on that bet. Why? Because Craig's $100, or we'll call it $110 bet. It's easier math for folks at home. -110, bet 110 to win 100, right? Craig wins, he's getting paid $100. Guess how much the casino got from me? 110. They still win.
No, you hit it on the head. And, it's not a real secret. Odds move because you move. So, Chris already talked about the heavy action on one side. He already talked about the sharp bettors, market movement, because there's market movement at competing books. You think the other sports books aren't competing with the other sports books? They want to bring people into their sports book, not have them split and go to somewhere else. So lines are different and you have to do your research. There's no reason why it's almost like you think about how they always tell you don't put all your money into one bank, create accounts in all different banks. Well, make bets in multiple sports books for a single day of football, if that's your choice of sport. But it's no real secret. I mean, this is why a team can start out as a favorite but close as an underdog, right?
Yep.
The line reflects money. It's about the money, people, and that's the truth. So it is what it is, as they say. But one thing you brought up, Chris, was about the VIG. Shocker, whether it's table games at a casino or it's sports books, the house always gets paid.
Yep.
Regardless, the house is always making money because, like Chris said, if you have two people and they're going at it with different odds, whoever loses is what the house is making. So, and more often than not, it's more than what you're making. So,
Yeah.
this ensures the sports book profits regardless of the outcome.
Yep.
Um,
And most of the sports books, because I don't want people to misconstrue what I said earlier with even money on both sides. It's not technically even money on both sides. They don't want, 1 million on this team, 1 million on that team. That's not what they want. They want balanced risk, theoretically, on the game. So they have, a certain amount on this team, certain amount on this team. But you will see a lot of the times, and if you get really into it, right, you could see like a team where the public bets 80% of the bets on one team, right? But if you look at the percentage of money on that team, it's closer to like 50-50. Why? Because there's more bets in number on the one team, but the larger dollar amount is on the other team. So that's where sharps and other things come into play.
yeah. And, that's where the human element also comes into play. The traders in the risk rooms. Even with advanced algorithms and sportsbooks still rely on human traders, aka the air traffic controllers for money, to adjust lines in real time,
Yep.
react to unexpected events. Like we just saw Lamar go down Sunday night in the game due to a knee injury. So, did anybody have a bet on Huntley? I don't think so. Maybe somebody had a long shot, but I don't think so.
Most sports
But
books
it
won't
also
even offer it because there's no
exactly,
value for them.
exactly. If they're not suspending bets right and left, they're just not even going to show you a bet
Yeah.
for that. So, because they have
Well,
to
there's
manage
there's
exposure.
there's no value for them on things like that too, because for example, on that bet, right? Let's say Huntley never came in the game. Well, your bets would be voided because he never touched the field,
Right.
right? But you still go place those bets in case he comes in, and the line would be ridiculous, right? It'd be like, him over 10 passing yards. Why? Because he's probably not coming in the game, right? Or if he does, they don't even offer the lines for that reason, because if he doesn't come in, the bet gets voided anyway. And then if he does come in, the sports books are caught with their pants down because he's going to clear that line easy, or he should anyway.
Now, you may ask, because I have, why do odds differ between sports books? We mentioned a little bit of it earlier, but there's no two books have the same customer base. They have risk tolerance and internal models. So each book reacts differently to the action.
Yep.
You have to realize that things can change all the time. Things are changing. If you were to actually watch your not the bet that you made, but if you actually watch where you can make a bet all day, you see up, arrows, down arrows, red, green, green, red. It's constantly changing second by second. And if you're not paying attention to that, you're either going to lose your bet entirely, or you're just going to lose your bet because you weren't paying attention when you made the bet. Um, Case in point, sometimes, and I'm sure Chris has done it too, sometimes we do take the early payout that they want, the offer they want to give us, because we'd rather have that than not have the payout at all. Um, you can't predict what's going to happen in a game. They can't predict it either, but if a game starts going differently than what you thought the outcome was going to be, you're the one getting screwed, not the house.
It's always wins, right? That saying isn't just a saying because somebody was like, "Ooh, it's catchy." It's true, right? They're always going to win regardless. Same thing too. You made a point about going to different books and stuff, and like spreads and money lines are going to be pretty similar across most of the major books. Where you're going to find the intricacies are in like touchdown scorer props. You'll find them in like receiving props occasionally, different things like that. Why? Because again, like I said, sportsbooks care about how much money's being bet on their sportsbook, right? They don't necessarily care how much you're betting on a different book, whatever it may be. And you got to shop around for the lines because, especially if you're going to be betting props, you want to look at multiple sources for the prop bets, right? Some books may have receiving yards a yard or two higher. Some may have them a yard or two lower. They might have the payouts a little differently in terms of the odds, things like that. It's important to shop those lines because, especially touchdown scorers, for example, right? Some books, they're going to be close, but they're not going to be identical across the books. And I always say it, right? Caesars has the worst odds I've ever seen on prop bets. They're dog shit. Their lines are always terrible. I don't like betting on their stuff for the sole purpose that their prop bets usually suck. Like, for example, using last night's game as an example, right? Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown on Caesars was like minus 230, right? I'm not telling you to go bet a minus 230 bet. I'm just telling you what it was. You look on like FanDuel is like minus 200, minus 180, whatever. Fanatics was around the minus 180, minus 200, depending when you check. DraftKings, same thing, right? Now, people are going to be like, oh, well, it's not that big of a difference. Yeah, it's not that big of a difference. But if you're going to be betting a lot of money over a lot of period of time, that juice difference makes a huge difference, right? For the folks at home who like craps, it's like me telling you that your 6 and 8 is not going to pay even money instead of 6 and 7 over a long-term period of time. No one's going to place that bet. Why? Because you're not getting any value on that bet, right? That's why you got to look around for lines and see where they're going to be in your favor. But prop bets are the main thing. Now, you will catch some books lacking in terms of, spreads and other stuff, or you can buy down points and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, those are going to be pretty similar. But the props are where you can really catch sports books lacking.
It's kind of interesting. You mentioned craps earlier about 6 and 8. It's like if you went to the casino thinking, with your fallacy that, oh, well, the 6 and 8 always hit. So, I'll make money there. Like, okay, but if you're on a crapless table, guess what? Most of the good shooters who are trying to shoot are not trying to hit a 6 and 8. They're trying to hit 2, 3, 11, and 12. So they're doing different sets that don't give them 6s and 8s. So now you've just screwed yourself because you went in with a bias and it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Same thing with sports betting. You can't go into a game or a bet and think about, especially your own team, but any team, if you do the research, you can't go in and say, oh, well, I'm sure, of course he can get 2 receptions in 4 quarters. Well, guess what? Sometimes they either get hurt in the first quarter or it's just not their day and they've dropped 4 attempts, 4 targets they've been thrown and they dropped all 4 of them. It just wasn't their day. Well, guess what? It just wasn't your day for your bet.
That's a fact. We're going to have more sports conversations down the line in future episodes. If you have anything you want to add in there, let us know down in the comments below. Send us an email, whatever it may be, FullofChipsPodcast@gmail.com. Now it's time to get into our Blackjack Brief for this week. We're going to talk to Bruce about some of the way he plays, right? We got into some of the pillars for the way he plays. Now we're actually going to break down a little bit about how he plays. So let's hop into the Blackjack Brief. Welcome back into the Blackjack Brief. Today we're talking to Bruce about more the meat and potatoes of his blackjack system, what it means to play Bruce's style of blackjack, and maybe how it differs from some of your common premonitions on how you should play blackjack. So, Bruce, first of all, welcome back. Thanks for coming back in, and we're excited to talk to you tonight a little bit more about, the system itself, kind of how it works, things along those lines. And for the folks at home who haven't heard the first 2 parts of the Blackjack Brief, they're in episodes 21 and 22. I'll link them down below. You can go take a look because we talk a lot about Bruce's story in the beginning and then some of the key pillars and the key aspects of gambling that you need to have, like discipline, bankroll management, all that kind of stuff, in order to play this way, right? It's not something that you can just willy-nilly kind of start playing, but if you have the foundational skills, you can anybody can do it, right? Even I can do it. Even a degen can do it. I mean, can you believe that? If it's easy enough for a degen to do, anybody can do it. But Bruce, we're looking forward to talk to you tonight. And so with your system, right? We talked a lot about the different aspects that you need to have, patience, discipline, all that kind of stuff. But for the actual way you play now, right? How did that all come about in terms of why do you play the way you play now compared to, let's say, like playing a basic strategy or something along those lines? What kind of made that click in your head that way wasn't working? It's time to find something new.
Basically, when COVID hit, and I took the time to start understanding how this game worked by practicing, you could see that flat betting, which many people do, which is Okay, you start with a unit of $100. You win, double you match it, go up to 200. You play that. You may win that. You go to your third one. You may lose that. If you lose the second one, you lost both your bets. And as time would go on, what I would see, but if I practice 40 hands, normally you don't win more than 2 or 3 hands in a row. And I would start what I call in my practice session, blocking them off, saying, okay, how many times did I win 3 or more? And I would see, and then I'd also track how many did I lose 3 or more. And it was just amazing that if you use a betting strategy of one, and then maybe another one, you're gonna probably gonna lose more hands than you win, especially with basic strategy. So it was just a matter of trial and error for at least 2 or 3 years. But the key was just knowing you had to change your bet. The two main, you know, things that I see in gaming is, you have to in blackjack especially, you have to be able to change your bet, and you got to know when to get up. And those are two of the hardest things for people to understand. Anybody that you watch, and I see these blackjack influencers all night long, one-off bets, one-off bets. Well, yeah, if in fact they played 40 hands, they've lost probably 20 of them. You never see them. So the key word is disingenuous when you're trying to, learn something from others. I mean, there's not a book on this. There's books about gaming in general, the blackjack in general, craps in general, baccarat in general, but there's no one that I've ever seen. So, okay, show it to me so that I can practice it. So that was the whole key when beyond the book, that we produced, was just knowing, folks, you got to practice. You got to see it for yourself. And if you can do it at home, you can do it in the casino. If you're not going to do it at home, do not go to the casino, because I mean, hey, if you're doing it for entertainment and you're willing to lose $500 a weekend, that's great. But hopefully, you know, you want to go have a good time and win at the same time.
Yeah, practice is super important, right? And like, I'll be honest to the folks at home who think, sometimes we sit on a little pedestal up here. Degen does not practice blackjack at home. And I'm gonna say put a little asterisk next to it because I practice more than most people because I'll deal out a shoe every once in a while or whatever. But like I never wrote it down, right? And then we started talking to Bruce, and he sent me the practice sheets and going through it. And then I'm like, I spend so much time practicing on my craps table. Like, why wouldn't I do it for blackjack, right? And then it really started to click. But practice is definitely one of the key foundational pieces of playing your way, but also just becoming disciplined and not letting maybe weird situations throw you in a casino, right? In our last episode, we talked a lot about psychology and mindset and things along those lines, where if you're seeing, what you may think is super abnormal when you're practicing, it doesn't look abnormal in the casino. And, you know, you sent me a hand the other day, right? It was like 7 card 21, 8 card 21. Those things happen. And you don't know they happen unless you want to practice at home or, like you just said, take $500 at casino, be happy losing it, and go on my way.
Well, let's relate it to the people, our listeners, because we know so many people, Chris, that don't just play one game; they play multiple games. And for those that play craps and they want to learn to shoot, what are they doing? They're probably using Bone Tracker and they're writing it down. Similar here. You want to learn how to play this way, which to Bruce's benefit, has been much more successful than what everybody still does today and has been doing previously. Is he's now got it down in practice sheets, just like if you're a practice shooter in craps, you've got a down and bone tracker. And at the end of the day, it's going to tell you more information. It's going to be more beneficial at the casino. Same thing here. At the end of the day, after you do all your practice sessions, you're going to see and analyze your hands and see the progressions of what happened per shoe. And you're going to analyze that, and you're going to be more, it's going to go to your benefit when you go back to the casino for your live session.
Yep, 100%. And so Bruce, with your practice sessions that you do, right? And I assume too you were logging sessions in the casino when you were playing prior to developing the system that you play now. And through your practice and through logging those sessions, what kind of clicked in your head that was like, I may have won these sessions if I wasn't doing this according to basic strategy? Or was there anything like that that stood out to you from doing the practice and from playing live and logging those sessions?
Well, I mean, but one of the words I would use a lot would be wow. And I would just say wow over and over and over. And normally wow would be bad. Occasionally have wow is good, or WTF, would be something I would say or think to myself over and over. You know, one of the things that is different, that I am different than others when I'm in a casino. We talked a little bit about emotions. I basically I don't have emotions when I win, and I don't have much emotions when I lose, because if you don't act like you've been there before, you shouldn't be there. But again, with the influencers, everybody's looking for a hot moment. This is work. If you want to be successful at it, just like with craps, you got to work at it. But this, I'm now. I mean, even in craps, it's sort of hard for you guys to show somebody how to throw, and then on top of that, then learn how to bet. I mean, those are all tough things. Blackjack is pretty simple game. It's a very simple game. Very explicit rules. They're consistent everywhere you go. The dealers do what they do. Players do what they do. Over anywhere you go. When you find a blackjack game anywhere in the country or in the world, they're basically the same thing. But to go back to your question of, as I started to practice, one, the way I was doing it, because basically my coming up with this way to play is just trial and error. Well, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's record this. Let's just see what it does over time. Do it in the casino. Do it at home. Even since you and I have, the three of us have met, I've showed you about 6 different ways to play. But the
Yep.
consistency is you're flat betting a certain amount and then changing to another amount and then potentially to another amount. Now, whether you're playing with others and you're only going to play 15 or 20 hands in the shoe, or you're playing by yourself and it's a 6-deck shoe and you're going to play 40 hands. What should you expect to play? One of the things I did since we last talked is went to a casino down in Florida, to Hard Rock down there, and I think you have sent you my results. Was only played 5 shoes, played exactly the way I showed you I was going. I sent you my practice sessions. Said I'm going down to Florida. Did it. Now, instead of playing maybe 5 or 10,000 a hand, I decided, okay, I'm just gonna play 500 a hand, 1,000 a hand. And what did it end up being? About $15,000, playing about 5 shoes. But I played exactly as I practiced. And I can even tell you the 3 sessions that I played, my total bets were $202,000. One of the problems that players have is the old, what is my ADT? And so many people, I mean, I basically say the industry misleads players, but what do I got to play to get to where they give me stuff? And I think it's foolish, because okay, well, you got to play another 3 hours in that room that you're gonna get for free. It's gonna cost you $500 when you could have paid for the room and paid for $100. And but everybody, how much do I got to bet? How much do I bet? I want to try to win as much as I can with as little as I can as possible. but it's through, taking the practice sessions, dealing the cards out. The good news is, for you and I, you, Craig and I, and then hopefully others, we potentially can do a lot of the work for them and show them how it's being done. We can produce some of these documents, email them to them if they want them, so that they can see it for themselves. Hey, people ask me, why are you doing it this way? I just want to, I mean, basically, I'm, in my humble opinion, giving back.
Mhm.
You say giving, okay, I've done all this, nobody cares. But, if you go to the casino, at least I'm gonna try to hopefully you'll at least understand it.
Well, this is
You
one
will
of the things that I
understand.
really enjoy from just talking to you is you you've been very consistent on what you're telling us, and you've been very transparent. I would say very transparent. I mean, we haven't disclosed that you've emailed us multiple times with multiple practice sheets, multiple sessions, and we're seeing what you're talking about. It's not just word of mouth. It's not just bravado. It's hard work, and that's what I really enjoy about learning about this.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I love the game. I mean, again, we chatted a little bit about I don't like hearts, I don't like euchre, I don't like Monopoly, but I do like and I've never learned craps, and right now I got enough to say grace over just playing blackjack, and the world does. But, and I don't have to worry about crapless craps, and I don't have to all the electronic games that are out there now. Blackjack's as I said earlier, it's the same everywhere. I mean, at least if they don't deal the shoe, if I can't see the cards electronically, I'm not gonna play. If I can't see, it's not coming out of the shoe, and the cards right in front of me, through COVID, I thought maybe they were cheating. And I now know they're not, because everything that I thought they could do, they were doing that was, wow moments became I do it nightly. I mean, there's been,
Yeah.
there's nights as I'm practicing, you guys see them. Here's another one. Here's another one. Check this one
Mhm.
out. Just over and over and over because it happens every day. So as you practice, you know, 2 or 3 shoes a night and just do it to yourself, at least you're forewarned. I can't tell you what's gonna happen, but normally, I mean, I expected to win in Florida. I expect to win about every time I play. But that's still a little challenging to teach. But that's my whole purpose now. In the past, I could try it a whole bunch of different ways, and I could probably just out, lose at 500 a hand, win a couple times at 1500 a hand, get ahead. Okay, I'm leaving. But that's just sort of on feel. I can't teach feel. I mean, that's somewhat a lot of talent and some luck, but more talent than not. But over time, if you just practicing day after day after day, seeing I mean, we talked about it in the first episode or two. You got to play the way you practice.
And it's systematic because you know when you go in, you're looking you want multiple winning hands. You know you're going to get multiple losing hands at some point, if not multiple points during a shoe. But you're already expecting that when you go into the casino. So that that's what makes it really uh, a really good strategy because there's too many people that go into casinos with strategies thinking that they're all winning strategies. No, you have to go in with the mindset that you already know your disadvantage when you walk through the door, but because you play systematically, you know that you should be winning this much during a shoe, and you're probably going to lose this much during a shoe, and you may push now and then. That's what's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, and you made a good point, Bruce, with the feel aspect of things, right? Like you can only gather so much of that feel playing live in a casino unless you're gonna be playing every day. But when you build up the hours of practice and repetition, that's how you can really build upon that feel, right? And then when you go there to the casino, that is, then you're playing based off of the feel, but that's because you have the practice, right? If people want to go and risk hundreds upon thousands of dollars trying to develop that feel, I mean, good for you, I guess. That's on you to do that. But you could also go to like Walmart, Target, Amazon, wherever, and spend like $15 and go buy, couple or 6 decks. You can buy more than that. I mean, I think you could buy like 12 decks at Walmart for like $20. Um, you could spend that much money, which is going to cost you a hand in the casino. You can go buy some decks and go run through the shoes, right? Bruce said the practice sheets that he was doing. I have them. I have my own practice sheets, right? I will post them in Patreon for folks who want to see them because it's easy to file share and post
Chris
those
isn't
kind of
the only
things there.
one.
So I will.
Right here.
Yeah. Craig's got them. I have Bruce's. If with Bruce's blessing, I'll post some of his in there as well. But I'll post them in Patreon. Link is down below. You can go take a look. It's free. All right. There's nothing you got to pay for. It's easy to post files and stuff in there. So go down below. You can go take a look. They might not make sense to you, but that's okay because we're going to teach you how they're going to make sense to you soon enough. Some of you will figure it out by just looking at it, but the feel and the practice is super important. And that's how you're going to become more disciplined, and to become a better blackjack player is based off of those things, right? If you wanted to go try to be like those influencers, right, and do those ridiculous things. My favorite one, though, when you said influencer, it immediately popped in my head. My favorite one is the 1, 2, 4 that they do. You win 3 hands of blackjack in a row starting at $100. You have $800 in front of you. That's all great and wonderful. If you see influencers posting that kind of stuff, right, you got to go ask them how many times they tried to record that in order to get it to work, right? Am I telling you you're not going to win 3 hands of blackjack in a row? No, that's not what I'm telling you. However, I am telling you that it's not going to happen your first try. And if it does happen your first try, you're probably going to lose the $800 trying to make it happen again and again and again. Because as Bruce started out this segment saying, it's hard to win 3 hands in a row, right? And if you sit there and play and you practice, right? Again, the practice sheets. I could go through here and tell you how many times I won exactly 3 hands in a row, and I could probably count them. I mean, now I have quite a few practice sheets here, so I wouldn't say I can count them on one hand. But if I went through, like, let's say 3, 4, 5 shoes, I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I won 3 hands in a row without losing a hand, right? If you want to flip that around to how many times you lose 3 in a row, that I would need my toes to include in there because that happens a lot.
Well, think about it. I mean, even the very first one that I did, what you're talking about, winning 3 hands in a row, that happened only 3 times in an entire shoe that had 47 hands in it. 3 times.
Yep.
So 9 hands of winning in a row, 3 sets of 3 in a row. And then I had one, I ended the shoe with a 5 hands in a row, but it wasn't, there was a lot of back and forth, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, push, loss, win, loss,
And as I said earlier, when you're playing, if you're going back and forth, bet 1, lose 1, bet 1, lose 1, bet 2 and win them in a row, more times than not, you're going to end up with losing all of it. I mean, that's how everybody's been shown to play. There isn't a book that I've ever seen, and I've looked for hundreds of them, show me how to play. Show me in a book, show me in a broadcast, show me anywhere. No one has done it.
All right. Very good, interesting conversation with Bruce. Really enjoying breaking down his mindset, learning a little bit about the strategy, and hopefully you guys are enjoying as well. We're going to get into it. We're going to keep going down the line, talk about practice. We talk about a lot of different things. There's a lot of things coming, so hopefully you guys are enjoying. And if you have any questions for Bruce or anything blackjack related that you want to know, drop it down in the comments, or again, send us an email. We'll be more than happy to get back to you on that. But Craig, back to the episode and one of our favorite topics, our top 5 list. What is our top 5 list today, Craig?
Today's top 5 is reasons prop bets cause madness. because we've all been there. And sometimes you're like, why the did I bet that? This guy's an idiot. He can't even play football. Shouldn't even have a uniform on. I could go on and on and on.
Oh, yeah. Very fitting for our conversation today and what we were talking about. So, Craig, number 5. What's the number 5 reason prop bets cause madness?
Number 5 is the illusion of control. Your prop bets whisper, you can outsmart randomness, right? Players start believing they can predict the color of the Gatorade like they're clairvoyant. Madness begins when the brain mistakes guessing for mastery.
There you go. Well, Craig, we never fail. My 5 is the same thing. You think you know better than the sports book. Basically the same thing. You have an illusion of control. You know better than the sports book. You watch the games. You know this player. You've heard of this player. And you think they're going to score a touchdown, or you think they're going to have this many catches. You think you know better, so you're going to bet on them. You don't understand. You don't know what the game script is. You don't know what the coaching decisions are. Sometimes you get random plays that happen that just throw everything off, right? It happens. But you think you know better, and you'll swear up and down you still know better. And the best part about it is you still think you know better in week 18 of the NFL. You've been doing it for 18 weeks, but you still think you know better. So you got that control. Good for you. All right, Craig, number 4.
All right, number 4. And you just mentioned this earlier with the friend that came over for the receiver prop bet. Micro sweats everywhere. Every tiny event becomes life or death. A coin toss, a first pitch, the length of a national anthem. I've actually bet last summer on a pitcher's whether he threw a fastball and how fast the fastball was, and I actually won the bet. But I played both sides. I said, is he going to throw 93 to 94 miles an hour and 90 or above 96 and above? And he threw a 94-mile-an-hour pitch, and I won that, but I lost the other bet. So it's like hybrid betting, where you don't win much, but you don't lose much either.
Yeah.
This is where prop bets turn normal humans into emotional chihuahuas vibrating through an entire game.
There you go. Just vivid picture. I love it. My number 4 is usually the prop bets are high vig, low value traps, right? Sports betting, craps table, blackjack table, whatever it is. Usually those are some of the highest vig bets on the table with virtually zero value. Sure, they're great when they hit, but they don't hit that often. Now, I'm not saying all prop bets in sports betting are high vig, but for the most part, prop bets are high vig with virtually zero value.
All right. Number 3. Let's be honest. Prop bets are just potato chips for gamblers. The just one more spiral. You can't have one. You can't even have 5. Before you know it, you've built a 17-leg parlay involving a punter's hang time.
There you go. Punter's hang time. I mean, damn. Can you imagine betting on that? It's like betting on our international women's shopping cart pushing. Number of rotations of the wheel.
Still can't bet on that yet.
No, can't. All right, number 3 for me is prop bets and betting on props typically lead to multiplication of the amount of bets you're going to place and how much action you're going to have. You see one prop bet, and then you see another one, and then you see another one, and then you start betting all of them, and then you start parlaying all of them together, and then next thing you know, you went on to place one bet and you got 17 more placed. You didn't want to do that in the first place, but now you have so many bets placed. You don't know what's going on. You don't even know who you want to catch the ball. You don't know what you want to happen. Good luck figuring out that jumble that's going on in your brain.
I've done that early on. You pick somebody and then you like, oh, I want to get him on there too. Oh, I want to get that prop bet on there too. Then you go to your slip and you're like, why do I have 18 on this parlay? Like delete, 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 delete. Of course, your odds are going boop, 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 boop. And your payout's going boop, boop.
Yeah. I mean, people do it all the time, right? Like you take, especially in football, right? You take, you're playing a good team, playing against a real shit defense. You got every receiver over props. Why? Because they should go over. The problem is, well, when they go up 3 touchdowns in the first half, now the third string running back is in the game and your receivers are nowhere to be found because there's no need to throw the ball because they're trying to run the clock out.
You can't look at the football sideline and think of it as a college basketball bench.
No.
There aren't people
Nope.
coming off the bench. just casually because you want to do rotation.
Yeah, exactly.
You're normally seeing like the third string running back because it's 47-20 and
Yep.
they're just trying to run out the clock, which means
Yep. And they don't
as
want anyone to get
usual,
hurt.
fourth quarter, you're screwed.
Yeah, you are. You are. All right, Craig, number 2.
All right, number 2, social contagion at the table. One person announces a ridiculous prop bet, and suddenly everyone wants in. It spreads like casino gossip. Well, if misery loves company, so does madness, and prop bets are its favorite group activity.
There you go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, number 2 for me is they completely hijack your viewing experience and the pleasure you get from watching the game. You're yelling at some guy you barely know for something to happen. People around you are looking at you like you're nuts. You're rooting against what you actually want to happen. You might be rooting for the other team instead of your own team. You might be rooting for, oh, I want my team to win, but I need this guy to get a touchdown. And there's 2 minutes left in the game and it's a tie game. Like, what are you doing? Right? Same thing on Blackjack. You're rooting for your side bet to hit. Well, your main hand is shit because your side bet hit. Like, you're rooting for stupid shit. So it hijacks your experience, turns what could be fun into a Debbie Downer of a time. All right, Craig, number 1 reason why prop bets cause madness.
It's because my number 1 is a little bit based on what happened Sunday night with the Ravens and Patriots. When you lose a prop bet, you don't just lose money, you lose your sense of self. We talked about it earlier. You're quoting to yourself, how could I be wrong about the running back who's been torching the team for 3 quarters? Prop bets make people question their life choices and their intuition and sometimes their sanity.
There you go. All right, my number 1 is prop bets normalize reckless betting. Doesn't matter if you're on a craps table, doesn't matter if you're on blackjack, doesn't matter if you're on a sports book. Normally, when you start placing those, then you start getting reckless. You may think it doesn't matter because it's a smaller denomination instead of, other larger bets you may place. Placing 15 $5 bets is the same thing as placing one $75 bet. So then you start doing it because you just keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. Next thing you know, you've lost a lot of money placing stupid shit because you're being reckless because the props allow you to do so.
Excellent top 5.
Excellent top 5. That was really good. I like that top 5. Very relatable to the topics tonight. And takes us into the tip of the episode, Craig. Tell us our tip of the episode.
Hey, we're not stopping there. It's been sports betting all night long. Why not keep it going? So the tip of the episode is set limits, avoid tilt, and keep sports betting fun instead of stressful. So here are 3 things to remember to go along with our earlier Full of Chips toolkit tip. Here's 3 things that everybody should really remember. 1, sports betting isn't therapy. Stop trying to heal your childhood through point spread. Your team already takes years off your life. Don't let them take your money too. And finally, if you want to support your team financially, buy a jersey. It's cheaper.
There you go. Those are legendary tips right there. All spot on, by the way. Like, you don't understand that if you do bet on your team, like, you already know you're living and dying with every snap of that ball, every pass, every whatever it may be. Don't put money into that. Like, really don't. Because then we all know what happens when you mix money and emotions, right? It doesn't go well more often than not. So don't do it. And just stop betting on your team and have fun, right? If you're not having fun with the sports betting or any type of gambling, it's probably because you're winning or you're risking too much money that you can't afford, right? It's supposed to be fun. People are like, oh, like I don't want to place $1 parlays or I don't want to place $1 bets. Well, if you can afford more, you can do more. But if you can't afford more, then place your $1 bet. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know, right? Unless you're going to post it online.
At the end of the day, it's $1. It's $1.
Yeah.
You waste more money at Wawa than you do on that sports bet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do need to go for that plus 1 million or plus 100,000, but do it for a quarter because the quarter is going to get you 10 grand if it happens to happen. Is it the likelihood that it's going to happen? No.
No. There's no real chance in hell. But hey,
it costs you a
every
quarter.
once in a while. Exactly. Costs you a quarter. But yeah, avoid tilt. Make sure your limits and your bankroll are within reason and make sure you have fun with it. just like we're having fun with the Full of Chips podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I see Craig enjoyed his beverage for the evening.
I
And
did.
again, want to remind everybody, hope you guys have a fantastic new year. Happy and healthy new year. Remember, if you're going out to party on New Year's Eve, do not drive if you're drinking. All right. Public service
That's
announcement
right.
for everybody. Keys go away when the drinks start to come to play. Right. I just came up with that now. I don't know if I've ever heard that before, but
I love it.
it just came to DJ's head. DJ, a little poet over here. I don't know. Keys go away when the drinks come to play. There we go.
There
Don't
we
drink
go.
and drive, people.
Tell us where everybody can find us, and then we'll close it out.
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Full of Chips Podcast. And if you want to send us an email, fullchipspodcast@gmail.com. One final reminder, because this is the last time I'm going to be mentioning it because the promo ends in the new year. So like the beginning of the year. If you want anything from Casino Tiers, Full of Chips 15 will get you 15% off any order at casinotiers.vegas. Get yourself some dice, get yourself some clothes, whatever it may be. Full of Chips 15. Craig, take us out.
Just remember, if you're full of this, you're not full of chip.